Welcome to Ploughman's Backyard. My name is Kendra, and if you do not know that, then you are not subscribed. So make sure you go ahead and hit that sub button, as well as hit that notification bell, because you don't want to miss out on other great videos we have coming up. And that notification bell lets you know when we have new videos updated and released so that you can watch them when they first come out. Today, I'm just going to be covering one of the hot topics that we have had on our channel for a while now, just kind of doing an updated version because we've had a lot of comments and things on the video. It's a great remedy for cough suppressants that is good for just about any age except for really young children. And it only takes 2 ingredients, and that is onions and honey. So because we're using honey, this cough syrup is not recommended for children under 1 year. We've been using this cough syrup for a long time, especially with our own daughter. It's a cough suppressant. So if your children have a lot of coughing going on and it's just becoming a nuisance to them, this is a great home remedy that you can make at home for very inexpensive with things that you probably have on hand. The nice thing about this is that you know exactly what's in it. There's no chemicals. Typically there's no side effects. You have to obviously know if you're able to have honey or not, or allergic reaction, or if you have like high blood pressure or diabetes, you should be aware of that, and that you don't have any effects or allergies to onions. If you don't, then this recipe is perfect for you. So basically all you're going to want to do is we're going to start off first. I'm going to use up the honey that I have here, but any type of honey is actually fine to use for this recipe. So we're just going to start off. You're going to need a mason jar, sharp knife, going to have some onions and some honey. And you're just going to start off by layering your honey and onions, and we're just going to continue to do that. So I'm just going to put the first layer in here of honey. And this step is going to be like a 2-step process. So we're going to have to leave it overnight for about 24 hours before we start the second step. The reason why this is actually very good to have for a cough suppressant is because there is a lot of nutrients in onions itself. I know a lot of people that just actually take the onion and will lay it around the house. It takes out toxins out of the air. There's a lot of nutrients in the onions that can help with a lot of different things and with ailments that you might have. So it's a really good thing to have, especially if you're feeling sick. Another thing that we do with onions often is we actually cut them up and put them on our feet if we're feeling ill. And it actually helps reduce the amount of time that you are sick. We do have a video on how we do that as well on our channel, and I'll leave a link for that so you can check that out. It's not the most comfortable thing to be having on your feet, but it reduces the cold so much that we just always do it. And like I said, it just pulls the toxins out of anything that comes near it. So specifically with onions, I don't like to cut them and then leave them sitting somewhere and then go ahead and use them a second time. I like to just use up a whole onion at once, just because it does draw toxins to it so well that even putting it in your fridge cut, I tend not to do that. So because we have the honey in here already, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put our first layer of onion on top of the honey. And there's no right recipe on how much of each. Now, I will tell you that if you're putting a lot of onion in it, you're going to have a lot of onion flavor in this cough syrup. So it just depends on how sweet you want your syrup and how much you want it to taste like onions. When I just went ahead and I added that second layer of honey, and we're just going to go ahead and keep adding some more onions. So onions are great because they actually support your immune system. They actually stimulate the immune system to keep working. So that's exactly what we want when we're feeling ill. It's also got antioxidants in it, got some anti-inflammatory properties, some antibacterial in the onion as well. So it's really good for healing those sore throats and anything else that's going on in your body. So we just did our second layer of onion. Again, we're just going to add a little bit more honey. Like I said, there's no right or wrong amount. And we're just going to keep layering it. You don't have to fill the whole jar. You can stop wherever you want. This is really good to keep in the fridge, but we'll get to that part later. One of the great things about honey also is it's full of anti-inflammatory. So with those sore throats, when you feel that your throat's getting inflamed, which is usually happens when you have a cold, so it's going to help suppress that inflammation going on in your throat. There's a lot of really good properties. It also is really great for wound care. We've actually used honey on cuts and things, and heals cuts and wounds really nicely as well. It kind of acts like a second layer of skin, to be honest. And it helps to make sure that there's no bacteria getting in cuts and stuff like that. So honey is really great to have around the house for those purposes. We typically use this we use it throughout the day. You can use it at night as well. But the body has its own natural way of trying to heal itself. So the body is always going to try to thrive to live. So the body's natural response to having increased mucus is to cough, to get that increased mucus out of your body. That's a natural thing, and it's something that you actually do want your body to do. So not necessarily suppressing the cough is always a great thing, but when it becomes annoying and you're not getting sleep, especially, you know, with your children, it's nice to have an option that's healthy, that you know what is in it. There's no like harmful chemicals or harmful side effects. So we use this specifically for that, because we do still need our bodies to cough up that mucus so that you don't, it doesn't go further down into your system and cause things like pneumonia. So not all cough suppressants are necessarily great to do, and you don't necessarily want to do it all the time, but there's no harmful side effects to this. You're just using food as medicine. Anyway, so far I've only put 3 onions, and now we're doing our next layer of honey. Like I said, it doesn't really matter how much you use, because what's going to happen, we're actually going to set this out on the counter. So this is done. That's all I did. It's so simple, so easy. And we're going to put a lid on it. So basically just going to set this out on the counter or table for 24 hours. You want it at room temperature. And basically what is going to happen is that all of the properties of the onion and the honey are going to combine, and it's going to make a syrup. So what you're going to end up seeing is that the honey and the onions are actually going to kind of separate, and they're basically, the onions are being infused into the honey. So I've had a lot of comments that people say, you know, it's fermenting. That's not what I'm doing. We're infusing the onion properties into the honey and creating a very healthy cough syrup. So basically what we're going to do after about 24 hours is we're going to separate the onions. So we're just going to have to strain the onions completely out of this, the mixture that's going to be here. And then we're just going to take the leftover liquid, and that's going to be the syrup. Now I've had some people comment on the fact that I throw away the onions, and I do. I'm not a huge fan of like cooked soggy onions. I prefer them raw. However, you can probably do anything you want with them. I've had people comment on our last video that they put it in a stir fry or saute it into things. I preferably don't necessarily want my onions tasting sweet in something, but if that's what you like, go ahead and do it. I don't see anything wrong with it, because it's, you know, it's just honey and onion. Typically, I just throw them away, just because I know that all the nutrients and all the good properties that are in the onions are now going to be infused into the syrup. So that's why I do it, but you can do what you want. Anyways, we'll bring you back when it's time to strain this concoction of honey and onion. It's so simple. For day 2 of making the onion and honey syrup. So now that it's been sitting for about 24 hours on the counter or just at room temperature, it's now time to strain all the onions out of our syrup. So basically for this, you're going to want to have another mason jar just to have it in. And I just like to have a little strainer and a measuring cup. Just kind of make it easy like that. I am going to use a spoon. I know that you're not supposed to use these with honey, but it's more for pressing the onions. So that's all I have at the moment. So that's what I'm using. You can definitely smell the onions. Anyways, you can see it really did liquefy. Lots of liquid in there. And basically we're just wanting to drain out all that onion juice so that it's infused into the honey. It can get a bit sticky. Anyway, so I'm just going to start to pour. Just like that. Beautiful. And this is full of antioxidants. It's going to stimulate the immune system. It's going to help soothe the throat from coughing and also heal it at the same time. Perfect. One thing I did forget is something to put the onions in. Okay, so now that I'm back, I have something to put the onions in once I drain out all the juices. And this is where I get a lot of comments on my last video that I did, not to throw out the onions, don't waste them. Like I've said at the beginning, I'm not a huge fan of cooked onions, especially I don't really want sweet tasting onions in my food. So they're not going to be wasted. They're going to go either to the compost or most likely to the chickens. Nothing's really wasted on the homestead. The compost just goes into my garden when I do my gardening, and the chickens, they always need food to eat anyways. And I love just scratching around stuff. So they're not a complete waste. But there's not going to be like a lot of juice left in the onions. You want to get all that wonderful juice out of there just so that you're getting the best benefit from those onions. So I've heard people, they've actually taken these onions and put them in stir fries and soups and things. So you can definitely try and do that. And if you have something else that you would feel more comfortable pressing the onions with, go ahead. I just don't have anything else. So I'm just using this spoon. So when you're taking this, a lot of people ask the serving size. I usually do about a tablespoon per serving, and you can do it, they say about at least 3 times a day. I've done it where if I've had like a big coughing spell or my daughter's requested extra, I don't stop her at 3. I just find all this is food, so I don't really need to restrict it that much. You may need to restrict it a little bit more if you're, say, a diabetic or something like that, or can't have that much honey. I would do about a tablespoon at a time at a minimum of 3 times a day. I would say you could easily go 5 or 6 times a day with a tablespoon of this. It really does shorten the duration of colds and coughing. Another thing that we do is we actually put onions on our feet, which really helps draw out the toxins out of our feet. The feet are very porous, and just having the onions on the feet overnight while my daughter's sleeping, or if we're sleeping, it really does help the duration of the cold. So anyways, I've got my new mason jar, and we're just going to pour this in here, and you can see that there's a lot of kind of fluid in there. It's not it's not a consistency of the honey. It's got a lot of the onion juices in it. You can really smell it too. I do find that it is sweeter than it is kind of more oniony. So it is a sweeter taste, and I think that's why the children tend to love it. Anyway, so you just want to make sure that you don't have to seal it, but you do want to have a lid, and then this just goes in your fridge. So you're no longer keeping it on the counter. The counter was just to infuse the onions into the honey. So now it's time to put it into the fridge. And I've had this last about 3 to 4 months. I've had it last up to 6 months. I don't really recommend that. I would say 3 to 4 months is tops for this concoction. Usually one of these lasts most of the winter. And yeah, so we usually just take a tablespoon at a time, and it really does work well. And I love it because we have honey on hand, we have lots of onions from the garden on hand, and it's really simple to make. 2 ingredients and you know what's in it, rather than going to the store and grabbing all kinds of different cough syrups that have lots of chemicals. This is made from nature, and it is very healthy. So if you've enjoyed this honey and onion syrup recipe, I'm sure you're going to love some of our other videos that we have on natural remedies. We actually have a natural remedy for toothaches as well as for burns and bites. We also have some more remedies, different types of syrups that you can use. We also have other videos that help with different elements that we might come across. So make sure that you check out those other videos. We'll have a playlist in the description below, and you can check out all of our natural remedies videos, but we will be having more come up as we use them, and we will share what we can with what we have here on the homestead. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and remember to hit that notification bell, because that notification bell actually lets you know that when we have new videos out, and it makes it easier for you to find our videos, especially the natural remedies, where I think that, you know, in this day and age, these are just priceless things that we just need to remember and bring back, because these remedies have been used for years, and I think that they've kind of gone to the side. But getting back to those natural remedies is a great way to keep yourself healthy and vibrant, even during those winter months when it's cold and flu season. Take care. Till next time, we'll see you then.